Are you thinking about buying or selling a home or are a real estate professional and want to keep up with the latest news, stats, and trends in our Twin Cities real estate market? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall. Would like to welcome Ben Greilanger and Chad Priebe, Bell Bank Mortgage. Also, make sure you check us out online if you like this show at TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. There you'll find links to our past shows, as well as our free guides, the Smart Home Buyer Guide. Let me reach over here and grab it. Smart Home Buyer Guide, the Smart Seller Guide. Great resources there to help you save money on the purchase end of things, gain money on the sale end of things. Did you see my post that I put out about the numbers, like the averages?
I mean, you definitely post a lot of numbers. I don't remember that one.
Okay, so I did one where I ran the numbers on where the Twin Cities average percentage of sale price is in comparison to ours, and it was like Twin Cities average was 99.2% of list price of what people are receiving, where our buyers are getting them for 97.2%, and our sellers are selling them for 101.7%, right? We're talking, $10,000+ differentials there for buying and selling. It's big money. And so when you take these tactics, the market, you utilize it. This is where real dollars and cents can be made or saved. So listen to the show today. We're going to talk about some great tactics. The show today is going to be the new old tactics, right? These are things that have been used in the past, but due to our current market conditions, may be a time to reintroduce them, some of which have not seen much use in the last 40 years. Wow. So we're going to deep dive into that. So talking a bit about leveraging contract for deeds as a seller, as a buyer, talk about adjustable rate mortgages. I know it's a scary word for a lot of people, but we're going to dispel some myths on that to help maybe cure a little bit for rate. Talk a little bit more as well about the 2-1 buy down. Does that make sense? And whatever else may come up in conversation. Yeah. But first, I want to deep dive a bit into where our market stands today. We've been kind of on a little bit of a spotty hiatus here throughout the summer, all relatively busy. But as we get back into the swing of things, we've seen a lot of changes that have happened, and they're setting in here. But to go over some of the main stats, new listings right now are finally right on pace with where they were at the same time last year, where we had been tracking behind almost all year.
Everything's like 10% below, 10% below. Yeah, now it's like right on par.
Yeah, I mean, if we go back into July, we were down by 23% on new listings. Wow. Right now we're tracking, like last week we were up by 2.3%, this week down by 2.1%, right? Just very, very flat. But the reason too is we started to see like the rates kind of hit a spot in the fall, and the market kind of gotten used to things and where it's going to go, where it had been pacing a bit faster all year previous to that point last year. Pending sales are still tracking a little bit behind. Not a big surprise, I guess, with where interest rates are. We'll talk about that in a second. But pending sales over last year down 6.1%, basically 933 pending sales last week. If we look at the new listings, that was 1,185. So this may start to bring inventory up more. That said, we are pretty historically low. Right now, our inventory is the lowest peak, at least to this date, that we have ever seen. Okay. So right now, our inventory is tracking down over last year by 11.3%, which is the lowest peak market we've ever seen at 8,255 listings on the market. That's in comparison to last year's 9,311. If we see the same drop in inventory that we saw last year, this year, we will have the lowest low inventory we have ever seen.
So remember, it it dipped below 5,000 last year, and that was like, oh wow.
Yeah, I mean it was low, but it actually got even lower in between, in the winter of 21 to 22.
Yeah.
So it was still low last year, but now it's looking like it's going to go even lower than the 21 and 22.
Creep down near 4,000 maybe.
Wow.
Yep. And
that would be
what that
wild.
means is that sellers that maybe aren't in a rush may be able to capture some good additional interest in properties by waiting those few extra months. I mean, we're about to approach our slowest season. Why is it our slowest season? Multiple reasons. One, peak inventory. 2, lowest buyer demand.
Right.
Right. And 3, the holidays.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And as weather changes, the listings do start to basically stop coming in. Keep in mind, listings get up towards 2,000 listings coming on a week, and they bottom out at around 300 or 400 listings coming on a week.
Okay.
And so as we enter November, December, those listings go into those low hundreds, mid hundreds, but yet the pending sales stay higher, thus bringing the inventory down, bringing demand up as we go into January, February, which is, that what is it, mid-March is the absolute peak for velocity in the Twin Cities.
Right. And you can find some of your best buys or best, I don't know if you want to call it your best deals, but opportunities, perfect word, in these coming months, next couple months. I think there's going to be more opportunity.
Yeah, for buyers, I think your best chance is now until late December.
Especially if you can find that house that's unoccupied, they don't want to sit on it all winter, have to plow, have to shovel the walk, maintain it, worried about a pipe freezing, stuff like that. So it's like there might be some more motivated sellers, especially right now heading into winter.
Yeah, I mean, I just had one. We got down almost $30,000.
Nice.
Off of the list price that it was at, and that's not even accounting how much they came down from their original list price. Obviously, list price is not an accurate reflection of value, but this is where people are willing to take some concessions. I mean, right now, I think I was looking at some stats. 46% of sellers are accepting terms of seller-paid concessions on their properties.
That. Yes.
Yeah. So, showings per listing per week is at 3.56. It's below that 4 number, which means we're approaching a buyer's market. I didn't know if we were going to hit it for sure, but it looks like with where rates are, we are going to hit it. I know people will be like, what? Rates, hitting 7.5? It's a buyer's market? Yeah. And it has to do with the deals that you score on the house.
Right.
Rates can be refinanced, but you can never change the purchase price and how much you can negotiate, right?
Huge.
It goes back, like you try to inject yourself into this market again in late January or February, you're not negotiating. You're not getting those seller concessions, right?
Yep.
Now, we're going to talk a bit about how you can cure for that rate possibly. And for sellers who are still on the market and maybe don't want to have to give up everything to get the property sold, what are some tactics that they can consider? Because, things are going to kind of just continue to slow down from where they're at. The market meter is at a 4.73. When the market meter drops below a 4 or into the 3s, that's where we are in that buyer's market range. All right, again, check us out online. We're going to take a quick commercial break. TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. There you can find our smart home buyer, smart seller guides. A lot of stuff we talk about are in there. We'll be right back. Kirk Duckwall here again with the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Our local sponsors are BRIX Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Priebe with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tufson with the Preserve Group.
When shopping for a mortgage, there is a formula to get the best rate. With the market today, knowing this formula is more important than ever. My name is Chad Priebe with Bell Bank Mortgage. I have over 20 years experience in the mortgage industry and in home buying education. I'd like to share this useful tool with you to help you shop for your mortgage. You can find me at chadpriebe.com or call me at 651-207-9274.
Hello, my name's James Topson with the Preserve Group. Anyone can sell you insurance. However, is it going to be the insurance you need? When life surprises pop up, you want the right coverage. When it comes time to find or renew your policy, give me a call. I would love to review your existing policy and show you what I can do for you. You can email me at james@mypreservegroup.com or give me a call at 651-728-4334.
Not every title company is the same. There are many people involved with each real estate transaction, and all of them need to be in the loop or a closing may get delayed. This is why the people at Network Title strive to provide swift scheduling and communication between the buyers, sellers, agents, and lenders. We know moving can be stressful, however, your closing does not need to be. Check us out online at network-title.com.
People always ask realtors, what is your commission? But what they should be asking is, what is your rate of return? Commissions only vary by a couple of percent from agent to agent. However, the price per square foot you get just based on their experience and the quality of marketing they use can vary by 10% or more. At BRIX Real Estate, our agents use the right marketing and have the experience to get you top dollar for your house. See what we can do for you at BRIXTwinCities.com. Welcome back to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Today we are talking about new old tactics.
I like it.
Dig in the toolbox and see what we can work with.
Yes, looking for the flathead screwdriver, right?
Yeah. Remember these?
Yes.
I hate those things, by the way.
Yes, so going back to about that time. Yeah, no, there's some tactics that in our market have not been used but are coming back around in discussion that haven't been readily used for almost 40 some years, right? The last time we were seeing rates moving up at a good pace. Now, I love the conversation. People will say to me, well, I had an interest rate of 14% or whatever, 9%, 12%. It's like, okay, I had a higher rate too on my first house. The difference is, when houses were at those 14% range, that those houses were, $25,000, right? And
right.
So,
$100,000.
Right. So the interest, compounded, you get up to a $350,000, $400,000 home, 14%, even 7.5% is getting up there. So, right. That's where, what can we do to cure, right? We have properties that are sitting on the market, sellers that are considering renting their homes, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, we started a property management division, and I would say, that is a good option if you want to own an investment property and consider long-term, hey, I'm going to rent this for 3, 5, 10 plus years, or just indefinitely hold. Yeah, renting can absolutely work. That said, contract for deed, and especially one I want to discuss, short-term contract for deed could be a great option. Or contract for deed, seller option to extend if buyer agrees, something like that. So what am I discussing here? This is an option that a seller can do where they go, I want to seller finance my own house. I will hold this house. I will then charge an interest rate that I set for that property. Now, if you have a current mortgage, you do need to be careful, and you need to reach out to your mortgage company and get in writing whether you do or do not, or if they will waive the due on sale clause if they have it.
How has that worked on your side of things? Have you seen that popping up more?
It's topic. Like Kirk said, these are things that are coming back around. Not I haven't come across it in a long time. I did a purchase recently where the buyer was purchasing out of a contract for deed.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll talk about that more
So how does it get initiated? You have the seller that's like, you know what, I want to offer this option. Now, as a seller, you need to protect yourself, right? You still do have real estate commissions upon a sale, so those will need to get paid. So usually you're going to want at least a minimum of 10% down. That way you can pay the commissions, but you can also have some extra money held to the side, preferably 15 to 20% down. I also recommend that the buyer comes with a pre-approval from a lender.
That's a great idea.
Right? So that way, this is not curing for a credit problem issue. This is not curing for a lack of job history. This is purely curing for rate.
Yeah.
Right? So
historically, 10 years ago, you saw a lot of contract for deeds, but it was more for a credit-related thing.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Somebody could not get pre-approval. And so this was a nice vehicle.
That's where I cut my teeth on the on contract for deeds was, yes, the credit, the job history, whatever it may be, the foreclosures that people were coming out. So that was the last time we saw any sort of spike in contract for deeds.
Yep.
But the big run was from the late 70s into the early 80s was the massive run. And that was, again, purely because of rate.
Yeah,
and
affordability,
so
right?
Now thinking about that, well, what are the tactics that we use in a rate-caused environment for contract for deed? Yes, come with that pre-approval letter. That way you have the qualified buyer. It shouldn't be an issue when it comes time. And we're talking short term.
Correct.
So what am I thinking here? Probably a year.
Or two,
a year to 2 years. Term length on there, and then they have to refinance out. Why are we looking at such a short term? Because we're not looking at this as necessarily a long-term contract for a deed investment, but more so to capture the full listing price of the property and getting somebody in there, especially if you have a vacant house and not holding and paying utilities and mortgage and whatnot, getting somebody in there, and then, fingers crossed that when we see rates or when we get into winter, that we see rates start to come down and into spring, and it'll set them up for a good opportunity for a refinance. But that's where I also mentioned the option to extend, seller option to extend. If they so choose, hey, rates are still high, let's keep this going. Now, here's why a buyer might want to do this, is rates are at 7.5. You have, as a seller, a mortgage at 3.5. You could say, hey, I'll do it for 5. I'll do it for 5.5, right? So they're still making money.
Yeah.
And they're able to capture that full sale price of that property.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of 46% in seller concessions that's happening, selling for under list price.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been on the market now for a year. Or not a year. I've been on the market, starting in spring. Haven't got anything. We'll be coming into a new year. If I don't get something, do I really want that, or do I want to get this house sold and maximize sale price? So, you were talking about that buyer who's ready to pull themselves out of that contract for deed. I know that we've talked about that in the past, or assisted clients with that in the past. How exactly does that work? Since they put money down up front on the CD, how do you take that into consideration?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's very important as a seller, and the whole process has to be done correctly, because like Kirk mentioned, that buyer is going to want to refinance that property into their name, right? That's the whole purpose. As a seller, you have to have those contract for deed docs recorded with the county. It has to be recorded correctly.
And that's the protection for the buyer, too.
Yeah.
Correct.
It is a legal document that's filed.
Correct. And that's going to allow them to, rather than purchase that home at the term of the contract for deed, they can then refinance it. That saves them a lot of money. Now, that money they put up front, if the person holding the contract for deed, the seller, let's say, if they save that money, right, they put that into an escrow account, they can then use that as more of a down payment, or however they want to do that on transfer, right?
Yep.
So it just depends on how you set up the contract for deed.
So can I talk through? So the person puts 10% down. Year goes by. Do you treat it as they put 10% down? that, like, does the appraisal take that into consideration, or is it a matter of, well, it appraised here, they did 10% down on the CD, they don't need to come with more down? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so if it's a refinance, then we don't have to worry about that piece.
So is that how it's treated, a refi out of a contract for deed?
Correct.
Okay, maybe you said that. Maybe it
that's
just
the
went
most
in
ideal
one.
way to do it.
Okay,
because
okay.
then you don't have to deal with the down payment, earnest money, stuff like that.
Okay, gotcha.
With the contract for deed, I recommend you get legal advice. Talk to Kirk or talk to
No,
someone.
I can't do legal advice. I can help with contracts.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I mean, because you do the buyer, let's say, they do want to go into title on that property
Yes.
under that contract. Otherwise, they have to treat it as a purchase rather than a refinance. Okay, that's a huge piece of the
I'm actually
puzzle.
making notes because I'm teaching a class on this.
Yeah.
So
That's a huge piece of the puzzle at the end, right? If you want to pursue that property and purchase it, you can do that purchase as a refinance, actually. It saves you a lot of money.
that's great to know.
Because you technically have equitable title
Correct.
Yes.
to that property. You don't have full ownership.
They have to be in the title for 12 months.
Okay.
Correct. I believe it's 12 months. Don't hold me on that. That might have changed. It's either 6 or 12 months.
So, again, benefits, keeps the payment lower for the buyer.
Yeah.
Usually there isn't closing costs on that, or minimal closing costs, I should say, for
Recording fees.
Recording fees,
Yep.
for a buyer. So you can keep your costs lower. It sets you up, keep your payment reasonable. And if you're interested in contract for deeds, like as a buyer, please feel free to reach out. We can actually set up searches to hunt for what properties are offering that option, right?
Yes.
And again, today's contract for deed person, it's not a seller. It's not a cure for credit typically, and it's not a cure for income issues. It's a cure for rate. So they are
Yes.
going to be looking for good credit, decent down payment. It's really just to keep that payment lower, that rate lower until it's time.
Buying some time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a huge point because, obviously you want to do your homework as a seller to make sure that those people that want to purchase your home are credit worthy and can afford
Yes.
the payment, right? Otherwise, you're right back to square one.
And then, of course, there's pros and cons to it from both sides. They're not, a slam dunk deal that's going to go through. A buyer may get cold feet after a year and want to walk away from their down payment and disappear, and that can happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but with that larger
it's like
15, 20% down payment, the likelihood of that is lower.
For sure.
But there, as
There
long as
is
the
always a
prop-
chance
yes.
that you're not going to sell it
Yeah.
fully.
Right. And with that, they have skin in the game, right? I'm talking about the buyer. So they're going to be taking care of your property most of the
Do
time.
not. I would avoid rent to own
Yes.
buyers and sellers like the plague.
Yeah, just go
because most
CD.
rent to own, one for buyers, they're charging more money for that option, and for most sellers, that they usually walk away. They don't actually move forward.
Yeah.
There's actually investment companies that kind of try to prey on people that are looking for this option because they know that they're
Big
not
time.
right. They're just going to charge more in rent. They know they're going to walk away
Yep.
most of the time, and so it's not, if your expectation is you're truly going to sell it on the turnaround, it's not appropriate expectation.
No.
So contract for deed, significantly better, skin in the game,
Yep.
equitable title, all of that. Again, just make sure that you can do that without the due on sale clause. That's the key term. If you ever have any questions on this, please feel free to reach out. We can help answer those. Let's talk about ARMs.
Yeah.
Not these kind of ARMs.
Adjustable rate mortgages.
Adjustable rate mortgages. Yeah, we got in a deep dive conversation yesterday on this with our brokerage mastermind. And, its perception is, sometimes more dangerous than reality, right? That people hear ARM and they get scared, right?
Yeah.
You have somebody coming into town, living here for 3 years on a job. They know they're not going to stay around, they're looking for that temporary house, whatever it may be. Especially in a higher interest rate environment, the adjustable rate mortgage makes sense mathematically.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
I'm
a
not talking about feelings. Yes, feelings will lead you to believe, oh, what if rates keep going up? Historically,
Right.
on a 5-year or 7-year ARM, rates will end up in a lower position. Then I think, the risk factor was pretty low. Like what it was Adam saying, like 5% chance or something like that.
So can you explain a little bit more? How does an ARM work?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So an ARM is again, it's an adjustable rate mortgage with a fixed rate period. Okay, like Kirk mentioned, there's 3-year ARM, 5-year, 7-year, 10-year.
Which means it's not going up next year.
It's locked
Correct.
in for those number of years.
Yep. Okay. So whatever period, like 3, it's locked in for 3. 5, it's locked in for 5. 7, it's locked in for 7. And then after that lock-in period, the rate can adjust up or down depending on the margin and the index at that time. And that's the gray area, right? We can't predict the future. Most ARMs perform or have performed in the past very well after the lock period.
Especially in a higher rate environment.
Correct.
Not so great if rates are at 4.
Right. Exactly. And
Chances are they could.
And we're in a market now where, a lot of the ARM loans, when you look at the benefit now, okay, today you're going to say, well, God, the rate isn't much lower than what the fixed rate is.
It's about 1/3%.
Yep.
Right?
And
so it's not a full percent.
Yep.
It's not
Yep.
3/4.
It's
a third.
it's not like it was. But like Kirk said, if you're going to be here on a job transfer for 3 to 5 years, the 10-year ARM to me is pretty minimal risk. You have 10 years, right, with that fixed rate. So
you can refinance at any time.
You can refinance. There's no prepayment penalties, at least with Bell, the company I work for. But, like we talk about in our classes, guys, there's no one best loan program, but you want to weigh it out. Make sure you weigh it out with your lender, talk about it, and learn about it because you never know. You don't know.
Talking about classes on September 26th, Crooked Pint. 6 o'clock.
Crooked Pie Maplewood.
In Maplewood, 6 o'clock.
Come hang out with us.
Yes, come hang out with us. I'm going to have Lauren put a link in the video or in the description. We'll get that in there, so I'll have to dig that up for her. Come check out that class. It's free. You also get a free copy, hard copy of this book, and a goodie bag full of fun things as well. I did order some new stuff, by the way.
And
so.
you can ask us questions, bring questions. We love questions. So.
And I get investors, first-time buyers, second-time buyers, third-time, right? I sold 8 houses last month, right? Most people don't do that in a lifetime, right? I'm doing, 40, 50 plus homes a year. You're doing houses, you're doing mortgages. We've been doing it for a long time. We're taking this experience, we're bringing it forward to how to leverage this biggest financial transaction that most people ever make.
It's
because
huge.
It can be leveraged. I mean, in the beginning of the show, I just talked about how the agent you choose on the buy or sell, when you do that spread, it's almost 5%. Just on the agent you're picking.
You want to hear something crazy?
This is not other stuff. What?
To key on that, sorry to cut you off. I still hear, the numbers that post that you did on Facebook, okay? I still heard as of yesterday, agents still saying we have to go in 10% over list to get the property. And I'm not kidding you, there's no other offers. Yeah. So when Kirk is talking about these numbers, you guys, this is
the reason.
There's a lot of agents out there, right? And I'm not trying to badmouth anybody in particular, but the mindset in the market, they're not, and I'm not talking, these are agents that sell quite a few properties a year. They're not educated on the market today. They're still thinking we're back in July and August.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is huge. So the numbers that you're saying, you have to hire an agent that knows today's market.
Yep.
I can't be any more clear on that because it's real money.
Yeah. It is real money. It's amazing how often that gets ignored. What did I put? I think I put in that post. Ask questions. Yeah. Take your time.
Yes.
Right. This is a big decision.
It's okay to have them explain their rationale for a trajectory of what they want you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that the class. Thanks for mentioning that. I was just in front of a panel of 25 loan officers across the country. These are high-producing loan officers. The number one topic, you guys, was education. Yeah, we have to educate our clients to make a good decision. So, reality is the class. It's great. Like you said, we have
It's free.
3rd, 5th time home buyers, investors.
Yeah.
It's free.
It's free.
It's amazing. So I look forward to it.
I think I'm going to end it there today.
Yeah.
It's a good topic.
So, yeah, for buyers, consider those ARMs if it makes sense for you. Or consider a CD if that's a tactic you want to utilize to keep payments lower, more affordable, and for sellers to capture what you can. Again, I think we're setting ourselves up for a very interesting spring market. So, I mean, the best advice I'd give to a seller, unless you're already on the market, is maybe just hang tight for a few months.
Do a couple little extra updates.
Yeah, this is the
over
time
winter.
to be getting ready. I was actually on a different station doing an interview yesterday, and I just said, use this time to get your place ready. Because in February, when the market's getting really hot, because remember, if you wait until it's green, you're going to miss out on green, sellers.
Yes.
Okay? So you're going to want to be ready for market while there's still snow on the ground or the grass is brown, right? Maybe I can get that to another phrase
I like
there.
it.
Okay.
I like it.
Well, thank you, Ben, for coming
Thanks,
in.
Kurt. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah, good seeing
Everybody
you
have a
guys.
great week. Don't forget to check us out online anytime at TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. There you can find all of our past shows, our weekly market updates, along with the latest and greatest searching and researching tools, and our free publications to include the Smart Home Buyer Guide and the Smart Seller Guide, along with the BRIX Report. All of these free for you. If you have any real estate questions, please feel free to give us a call, 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Happy to help answer any of your real estate questions or assist with your real estate needs.